Honey, bonjour. Wabigawan Kwenish Nikas, Makwando Tem Sagin Dongchi. Today is Orange Shirt Day. We do this every year because we honor the residential school survivors. All of the residential school survivors, all across this country. I am a residential school survivor. I was in residential school for 10 long years. Some of us had to come from far away to come to residential school. And once they got into residential school, they just stayed there. Well, for me, it was a little bit different. You see, I live next door to a residential school, right next door. When I was a little wee one, I used to see that building every day. And when I started to grow a little bit, I would ask about that building. My parents never told me what it was for. But somehow I knew. So when I was 5 years old, my brother and I, we were taken one day. My mom woke us up. We got ready, and away we went. Now it was only about 5 to 7 minute walk maybe, and we went. And I was so excited because I'm sure you were excited when your first day of school, right? Well, I was excited too because I thought to myself, wow, I'm going to be able to read those comic books that my dad used to bring home from work. And that's the only reading material we had. And I also thought that I was glad to be going because I was going to learn to speak English. You see, I didn't speak any English. I understood a little bit, but not that much. So we went. We opened my mom opened the gates past a little bush that used to be there, and suddenly I see this big building. You imagine to a little 5-year-old, she's this big building right in front. So we walked in, my mom and I and my brother. We walked in, and there was a strange lady that opened the door. She greeted us. She was all dressed in black and white, and only her face showed, and just her arms, her hands. I was scared, and I'm sure my brother was too. We walked in, and my mom was greeted by the nun, the lady that was dressed in this strange outfit. And she started to speak to my mom. She was friendly. We walked in, and I looked all over her. It was strange. I didn't notice that there were lights, a light on the ceiling. We didn't have that at home. And so I remember my brother sitting down. I was excited. My brother didn't seem too excited. Looked around, and my mom and the lady started talking to each other. And suddenly, my brother looked around, and I could tell he was a little bit afraid. I was too, but I wasn't showing it. I was just too excited. And suddenly he said, Niwikiwe, I'm going to go home. And my mom said something, and he threw himself on the floor, and he had the biggest meltdown ever. You know what meltdowns are, right? Well, he had one, and it was awful. He kicked on the floor and started crying and yelling, saying, "No degiwe, I want to go home. No degiwe." And he wouldn't stop. I was kind of upset with him because I thought, oh, they're going to send us home. And suddenly, the door opened on the other side of the room, and 3 or 4 ladies came in, dressed exactly the same as the lady who greeted us. And they went straight for my brother, who was still kicking and crying. They picked him up off the floor and they carried him right to that door that they came in from. And I thought to myself, where are they taking him? And I could hear him as they went down a hallway, I guess, still crying, still yelling. And that was my very first experience in residential school. It was sad. I was sad. Suddenly I was sad because, we weren't told about residential school. And I stayed there for 10 years. So I want to ask you a very important question. We know that, say, every child matters. That phrase, what does every child matter, mean to you? I want you to think about that and to ask, what does it mean to you? I thank you very much.